Well, I would like to congratulate you once again on your mission. Now you can tell people you've literally been to hell and back. And as you know, the Scythe is in full operation with our technology. The time machine is up and running, but before I get into that, I would just like to bestow this device on you on behalf of the company, your own personal time and space traveler. We've gone through great effort and expense to design this as flawlessly as possible. Being that you are our greatest asset, the one who will be undertaking most of the missions in time, and of course to say thank you for delivering the Scythe. I can't imagine what you must have gone through down there. But anyway, let me tell you about this device. It can open wormholes. As I mentioned, it's a time and space displacer. It communicates with the Scythe in our machine. Whatever date you punch in, the Scythe will open a wormhole directly in front of the device. And the wormhole will close either when the machine reaches too much instability in the space-time continuum, because you know, it rips a doorway between two realities that should not communicate, or the wormhole will close once the device has gone through it. And all of that goes the same for when you pop out on the other side. Speaking of ripping the space-time continuum apart, at this point we prefer to keep the time travel to a minimum, especially with that device, as we don't quite know the long-term effects on reality as a whole. I'm talking all of existence, even other universes too. It's all got to do with the presence and absence of your soul in this timeline, and other timelines, so it seems. It's complicated. The machine in the lab seems to be able to maintain stability fairly well, but this device is a little more erratic, making our machine work much harder to stabilize the timelines. Which is why we'll send you away on the actual machine on any missions. And more on that, we'd like you to complete your mission as fast as possible, since we're not sure of the effect on the space-time continuum in regards to the presence of your soul interrupting other timelines. Now this button right here is the so-called reset button. It will simply take you back to the time and place when you first used the device to leave your current time and place. So if you use it now, spent a decade in, say, the Wild West, or even in the future, you press that button and you'll be right back here immediately from my point of view. As if you never left. I mean, aside from the fact that I will see the wormhole open and close, but it'll be immediately, you know. In other words, from my perspective, I'll see you hop into the wormhole, and with no time to spare, hop right back out. And we also have a machine that can undo all the time you've spent away from your current time. Sorta like a de-aging device, if you will. That way you won't have to die before you should, at least in terms of the aging process. And yes, it also can only function by being powered by the Scythe. And of course, as a failsafe, this device can only read your fingerprints. Not that we think you'd lose it, but just to be safe. You wouldn't want to be stuck in another time period. I should also mention that, though our machine is highly accurate, and we can open wormholes to precise times down to the hour for any time period, this small device is much less accurate in that the further back in time you wish to travel, the larger the margin of error becomes. So you wanted to go back, say, 200 years on a specific day and time, the error will be, say, around a week or so. But if you wanted to go back to the Jurassic Age on a specific day and time, the error may be a few decades, unfortunately. Or centuries, maybe even millennia. Anyway, that's that sorted. Thank you once again. Now on the exciting part. Time travel. Boy, oh boy. What we have learned. I don't even know where to start. First of all, there exist many timelines, and infinite actually. It's a result of random chances and even time travel that creates these numerous different timelines. Each timeline with its own random chances and time travel occurrences to give us a hodgepodge of time. Which leads me into the time alteration phenomena. Our past cannot change. You can go back in time and kill the parent of some significant figure, but that only creates a new, different timeline where that did occur. In fact, you create a new timeline as soon as the wormhole opens and drops you out in a time period. Our own past will always be constant, but our future can't change. If you were to go back in time and retrieve someone, bringing them back to this current time, you create our future where this person will exist. If you didn't retrieve that someone, and you were to travel into the future, that person will of course still not be there. You also create a reality where you don't exist during that period you skipped, of course. Moreover, if you head into the future and witness an event, you can come back to your current time and stop that event from happening. At least in this timeline. And on that, by the way, you can pull someone through the wormhole against their will. The wormhole will simply not swallow them. That's because of the scythe. It seems to be unable to interfere with will. We're still conducting research on the scythe to see what it's capable of and the restrictions it has. Being a supernatural weapon, there's no telling what we can do with it and what we can't do with it. A lot of this information I'm conveying to you is due to the scythe. We can even use it to explore individuals to some limited extent. Limited because we're still learning to utilize the darn thing. And unfortunately, it still seems that it's random whether everything you take through the wormhole will be transported with you to the other end. At least when you displace from your rightful time. It is a much higher success rate when you come back with anything else. No idea why, but don't worry, since that device I gave you is a time machine, so to speak, it will always appear with you at the other end. It is directly connected to the scythe, so it won't just disappear on you. Oh, and interestingly, our specific timeline is one of the original ones, which simply means nothing in our past has occurred because of any time travel interference. If you were to go back in time, you would simply create an alternate timeline, as I said before, where time travel did interfere to develop a different chain of historical events. Now that I've told you all that, I'll tell you about the missions we have lined up for you. So, because of the supernatural abilities they possess, there are 3 people we need you to retrieve from different time periods in different timelines. Don't worry, the space-time continuum seems to more effectively maintain stability when a soul is brought to its future compared to a soul going to its past. Probably something to do with the time of its natural-born presence compared to a forced presence that was prior to its natural existence. Anyway, let me just tell you about all the missions we've got lined up.